Foxy lady.
You know, you almost want to do like Wayne and Garth, where they kept. Remember Garth? They go, Foxy.
Actually, that was Purple Haze. But for some reason, when I did the little break, I felt like saying Foxy.
You felt like saying Foxy Lady, didn't you?
Yeah.
They sound similar to each other a little bit.
Yeah, they are actually.
Yeah.
Chords are very similar. So you have a really good ear. You have a really good ear, Rob. You should be a musician. Actually, you are a musician. You are, dude. You do. And I'm a fashionista.
Ooh.
Yeah. Nice.
Wow.
Coffee Talk. You probably couldn't.
I'm impressed.
I was like ranting like crazy and you couldn't even hear me. How you guys doing?
Just woke up.
Oh, you did? Yeah. We all just woke up for IoT Coffee Talk. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, everybody. I'm still asleep.
Yeah. So
It was a dream.
Well, Rob is still revving up to get into like full speed here mentally. Just want to welcome everyone. And remember, we are all about the digital divide. So if you are into charity, please consider donating to elevateourkids.org. Okay. And we will help bridge the digital divide for kids K through 12 and underserved and unserved communities. And if you're not into charity, you can buy one of these shirts. So you just go to the website or reach out to Stephanie Atkinson and, look cool.
She'll give you the hookup.
Right? Yeah, she'll hook you up and you can look cool.
Etsy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go to Etsy.
That's right. That's where it is. Where all the
Say what?
That's where all the craftsy things on the internet is on Etsy,
Yeah.
So
I
love it.
Yeah, it still works.
Yeah, maybe.
The internet?
The internet.
Yeah, it still works as, last I heard. So,
yeah.
But, you know what?
Yeah.
Today here in Spain is predicted like the hottest day of the whole history.
Really?
History. Whoa.
Yeah, in Spain.
How hot?
And since yesterday, I'm crying because I read a tweet saying today is like the coldest day from the next till the end of your life.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, climate change is gonna kill us.
How hot did it say it's going to be today in Spain?
So it was 42 here
42?
in Barcelona. That it's like 90 something. I'm not sure how many Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
But do you think there's hotter places in other parts of Spain?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course. No, it's 107.
Yeah, he's by the sea, right? You're by the Mediterranean.
Yeah, indeed. And then humidity, it's like 60% or something like that.
Okay. Wow.
So it's I was sweating, so I went to the swimming pool.
Yeah.
You know what I hate is that whenever I post something related to climate change, or even if I don't say the words and I just put a picture of how hot it's getting, people come out and attack me.
Really?
Yeah, they do.
No
they
way.
say that I'm messed up, that I'm a weirdo, that it's not real, and stop doing this, and stop trying to say that it's fossil fuels, or talking about carbon and CO2, and I won't even say anything. I'll just like post a picture. It's like, wow, it's getting pretty hot out there, and people just it's like people. A lot of times there'll be people I never hardly see on different social media channels, but it's like an alarm goes off for them that they need to come attack me for making a comment about that, and it's weird.
Yeah.
So this is maybe related with something that I shared with you in the chat my morning, that I was listening Lex podcast with Harari. And actually he was saying, hey, if a robot, if you're interacting with a robot, it shouldn't be a fake human. So it should introduce itself as hey, I'm a robot. I'm going to insult you because you are talking about climate change.
Yeah.
Instead of you thinking that apparently it's a human being, trying to argue about the climate change.
Right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. I agree because, I think there's one of the creepiest things in the world that a human can do is start to attribute gender and personality to an AI or a robot. Obviously there are people who try to do it, mostly in the adult industry, but I mean, come on.
People do it.
It's not a she.
People do it with Siri. They call her.
Yeah, which is creepy. I mean,
but they do it. They do it.
Yeah.
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 I really like Lex Friedman's podcast. He does good conversations with folks. I think they're good.
Yeah. Really long, like our show.
Yeah. No, it's good.
2 hours.
And I know he was worried about getting attacked. I think he got attacked for doing an interview with Benjamin Netanyahu. And but he kind of came out with a statement. It's like, I'm going to keep doing this. People are going to attack me. It's important. He's a believer that, maybe many of the world's biggest problems could be solved through conversation. You need to get people in the room and have a conversation to work through instead of shouting at each other from far away. And it's important to have conversations with people who you don't like, or people who think differently,
Well, I like Michael Greaves, and he posted on one of my newsletter comment sections, and obviously he doesn't agree with me, but that's fine. I mean, it's not about what I believe or what he believes. It's about having a constructive dialogue, and I encouraged him, hey, share your stuff. I mean, you're like the godfather of digital twin, but everyone should be having a debate, dialogue, evolving.
Yeah.
I mean, because he came up with this stuff like 20 years ago, or he framed it 20 years ago, and obviously it's going to evolve over time. And it definitely, the idea of digital twin really went outside of what he originated with. And there's a lot of merit to definitely a lot of merit to what he framed, and hopefully we can get him on the show.
I agree.
That would be really fun, right? And
I agree.
Tell us how dumb we are.
He tries to keep it simple. It's like there's the prototype, a model. There's an instance, there's an aggregate. Don't try to overthink it. And
on the other hand, maybe the length of the conversations, it's an important thing, because probably at some point you open more yourself. So if you want to keep it at 1 hour, as we do, sometimes the best conversations come when we just stopped recording, right?
Right. That's
because
so true.
we maybe it looks like now we are warming up, right? So
that's right.
Right now, people who are listening in are probably going, "What the hell are these guys talking about? Where is this going? Damn it!"
I'll tell you where it's going. I'll tell you where it's going.
To the end.
I'll tell you, back the climate change, or global warming, because it's just getting hot out there. I think there's a song, it's getting hot in here. And I'm almost at the point now, it's clear that no one's going to do anything about it. We've been talking about it, we've been talking about what we need to do, and almost no one seems to care. And so I almost feel like it's time to talk about mitigation, adaptation. Since no one's done anything to solve the root cause, and it doesn't appear that's going to happen, then let's talk about how we're going to adapt to a hot planet. We have to do it,
dude.
Yeah. For me, the main problem, I think you already mentioned some years ago this on LinkedIn. I remember to see that thread about the water. The main problem will be the fresh water, right?
Yeah, right.
Anything else, we can produce unlimited energy, right? With solar power, things like that. But the problem is, if you don't have water, you will die. We can eat with pills, and I'm sure that this will be available really soon.
I mean, should we be building cities underground? Should we be living under the ocean? Should we be, the water
It's super
stuff?
expensive,
It is. It is super expensive. You're right.
Yeah, but at least underwater you don't have to dig. You just create like what you were suggesting. I think it was at MWC or CES. Just have these submersibles and then live in cities under the ocean. Under the waves.
But how do you get electricity there, and how do you get water and fresh products there?
Oh, you can build certain things above surface, just like a periscope.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
It's all in the You know what? We actually know how to have unlimited energy, and we've known how to do it since the 1930s and 40s. We just don't do it.
Yeah.
We already know the answer.
What's that?
Give unlimited energy. It's called nuclear power.
Oh,
yeah, it just works, and it's 10,000 times more powerful than the number 2 source of energy that we use out there per unit. So it's totally.
But this is limited, Rob. I mean, there are limited sources of nuclear or atomic
uranium
elements, and So at some point, like fuel.
No, I agree.
Probably it will be in millions of years, right? But it's limited.
Wasn't there some news in the last 2 weeks about some new breakthrough in solar where they got more efficient? There's always been solar's not very efficient. They can't get past 30% or something like, I don't know. Anyway, somebody had a breakthrough. They did a different design and it broke through that previous barrier. Which is interesting,
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, as it's sunnier and hotter, there's plenty of sun. there's a nuclear fire right above our head.
Yeah.
That's on every day. You know what? It's the problem with human beings. At least my way I look at it over time is humans, even though they know a problem is coming down the road towards them, they don't seem to do anything. They may talk about it. They might say, we should do something, but they don't do it until it's knocking on your front door of your house and your house is on fire. And it's a horrible thing about human nature because we're smarter than that. The only reason humans are still around is because we know how to adapt, and they say that's one of the biggest markers or whatever you want to call it for intelligence is a species' ability to adapt to changing. Because some that don't adapt, they die off, right? They're like, nope, I'm only this way. And so we don't want to be like other extinct species. We have to adapt. But we can't wait till your house is on fire to adapt, right?
Well, we're tribal. That's the problem. That's why these Uber, let's say universal Star Trek type concepts like, a global currency and, global regulation and all these kumbaya concepts don't work is because we're tribal. It's about, okay, as long as my house doesn't burn first and other people's homes burn and other people's, countries flood and, submerge underneath the rising tides, that is humanity. Unfortunately. And there is a larger consciousness that tunes into the danger, but man, it's almost like we're stupid. Collectively, we are dumb.
It feels that way. It's so sad because we have intelligent conversations along the way as we head to the road of our doom and demise. We'll have conversations like, I think we should do this. Yeah, let's do this. And nobody does it, right? Because we're driven by money. Short-term goals, short-term needs. Well, and also it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day life and you forget that this is big problems looming. It's like, oh, well, I'll worry about that tomorrow. I got to go do whatever. I'm going to go see
procrastination on climate change, you mean?
Yeah. People live their lives and they just get busy and they forget about it. I heard there was a ranking of top concerns of people, and apparently climate change is down almost to number 20 or 19 or something like that. Wow. That's how people don't even care. And a lot of people are like, oh, you've made it political. And now it's a us versus them, the climate people, it's a politics thing. And I'm like, why does it have to be politics? It's just science.
Yeah.
That's all it is science.
Well,
but do you think that we have like limited amount of years, the humans, we have limited amount of years in the planet, like 10,
well,
20?
I mean, let's make sure we'll cut out the politics. We won't talk about fossil fuels or anything.
No, I don't talk about politics.
Let's just say we were observing that the Earth is getting really hot, and every year we keep hitting a new record. I'm sure next summer España will hit a new high temperature record that will break today's record. And so you're right. At some point, there are regions of the Earth that are now hitting or starting to exceed the limits of a human body can survive, right?
Yeah.
Old stuff. I can't remember the name. We may have talked about this guy a long time ago. Lovejoy or something like that. He was a scientist. I don't even know if he's alive anymore. He was a guy from the UK. He talked about this stuff. He actually said it was already too late 20 years ago. He said the whole climate, the warming and everything was like a speeding train, and there's so much momentum behind it. And anything that we're trying to do to stop it is like shooting a BB gun at the train. It won't make any difference. He goes, even if we did giant things, if we started sucking CO2 out of the air, we did all these great things today, the effects of that, we wouldn't see the effects of that for several hundred years. And so he was talking about adaptation and mitigation 20 years ago. He goes, and he talked about something that I've written about called lifeboat regions. And this is the opposite of, there's regions of the Earth that are now, you've heard stories when we talk about like sea level rise. You're hearing about island nations where the whole nation is having to leave their country because the ocean's getting too high. There's also countries and regions where it's just too hot to live and people are just burning up. Your body can't survive it. And then on the opposite side, there's what this guy called lifeboat regions, which there are certain parts around the world that stay cooler, they're damp. And I live in one, the Pacific Northwest of the United States and British Columbia and Canada is a lifeboat region. We're in the middle of the summer and all our days start off in the 50s in Fahrenheit, so it's very cold. And so it's always cooler here. I was surprised when I moved here from Texas years ago that nobody had air conditioning. And I was like, what? Are you crazy? And it's because they don't need it. Now, do we have some heat waves here? Yeah. But compared to living in most of the rest, because you probably, the other morning I saw, like the weatherwoman puts map on the TV and it's all red. The whole country's red.
Except
on Sunday morning, they showed the typical thing for the United States and almost the whole country's red, except for this little tiny part way up here in the corner where I live.
San Diego.
In San Diego, yeah. But then they go, but it's getting so bad. They showed Europe as well. Yeah. And most of Europe was all red.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. I think a long time ago, even generals in the U.S. military at the Joint Chiefs of Staff level recognized, politics aside, this was happening. Yeah. And they said that in the future, we should prepare for mass migrations of people from parts of the world where it's too hot to parts of the world where it's cooler. And that they will be beating on the walls of your border of your country to get in if you're a cooler place. You can imagine a lot of people might want to be in Canada. Hey, I mean, I love doing, I'll spend time doing agriculture, for instance. And a lot of guys in farming don't believe in climate change. They think it's politics.
Really?
And so it's just different people. It's fine. And so, but the way you have to do it is you just kind of go, wow, look at the temperature. It sure is getting hot around here. What are we going to do about it? You're already seeing in the wine industry, the fact that Taittinger in France, in the Champagne region, several years ago bought land in England, in the UK, and they're growing grapes to make champagne there, which 20 or 30 years ago, someone would say that's insane.
Yeah.
But now, because
same happens here,
is moving up, places that were previously great growing regions are starting to get too hot. Places that were too cold, that were not good growing regions, now are growing regions, right? As you go further north. And so you can look at signs all around you besides even looking at what the temperature says. You can just see where things are happening. People are growing things in different places, and things are burning up in places.
Yeah. I mean, CIA, I think, a lot of U.S. intelligence agencies were talking about that, right? That climate change is one of the biggest threats to humanity, and that, like, it's a national security threat. But it falls on deaf ears. The bottom line is, like we said, who pays for it? And that's like a typical IoT problem too, right? So all of this somehow relates to IoT, and the challenge is, when you try to sell an IoT solution or value proposition to the folks who've designed a solution, we're looking at challenges an industry has. These things look obvious. It's like, why wouldn't you want to do this? Why wouldn't you want to have predictive monitoring, all that stuff? But the problem is okay, yeah, we love it, but who's going to pay for it, right? And so, a lot of the folks who have to, try to sell these things, it's almost kind of a similar dynamic that they're facing, because solutions tend to be quite, especially ones that are not revenue generating, are oftentimes very difficult to sell. It's almost like selling, hey, climate change is happening to some folks, right? They'll just say, it's getting a little bit hotter, but so what?
Lots of people keep moving to the Phoenix, Arizona area. Still today, lots of them are moving there.
And they're building fabs in Arizona.
It's like,
where theoretically there's supposed to be no water, and you need water.
But that was a desert. That was a desert anyway, right?
Yeah.
100 years ago, or
that's like, let's all move to Ethiopia. It'll be fine.
And let's water the air so that we can stay cool.
Yes. But to your point about IoT, I think what we've learned, and this goes across every kind of product and industry, it's easier to sell things that make people money right away than it is to sell things where you say, I'm going to save you money.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what climate change is. It's on the save you money side of the category, instead of you want that dopamine hit. You want that, oh yeah, I'm making more money. Money's coming up from this thing that I did. That's what people want, rather than, it's not as satisfying. It's like, look at all the money I saved.
Yeah. Well, which brings up an interesting thing, and I'd like to get your guys' take on this. So yesterday, Microsoft announced that they're going to be offering, what is it, 365 or Microsoft 365, what do you call it? Copilot, right? A version of their suite of productivity tools for $30 more.
You mean the clip? Or something different?
Clippy? No,
Clippy?
No, Clippy on steroids. Basically,
right.
They're infusing these large language model or Gen AI tools and what they call copilots all over the place. And so, what do you guys think about that? Because riffing off of what you just said, Rob,
so you're referring to the whole open source AI big announcement yesterday by Microsoft and Meta? Or you were talking?
That's different. That's different.
And then how they're going to sell it? Or
that's a different one. That's a different announcement. There's a separate announcement about
how much you're going to pay.
They're going to charge. Hey, look, here's the non-Gen AI enhanced version of 365, and then here's one where we've layered on a Copilot, 365 Copilot. I mean, what do you guys think? No
Could
thoughts?
be good. Their stock price went up a lot yesterday. It hit their all-time high at Microsoft yesterday.
Yeah.
I think because of this announcement, because they said, look how much money we're going to make selling this AI Copilot thing.
Yeah.
And
so I had a lunch some weeks ago with some friends who were not technical, and they asked me, "What do you think about generative AI?" And I asked them, "Are you using ChatGPT?" And all of them that are non-technical people, like from doctors to presidents of health companies to whatever, warehouse companies, so everyone was using ChatGPT at one point or another.
Yeah.
With some, and so I think it's a no-brainer feature to add these days.
Right.
I'm not sure how this is gonna end, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys think that that the value is going to be able to justify a 30% or a $30 uplift on the subscription?
I don't know.
So it's $30 a month.
Answer, Rob.
You want you want a bold, decisive answer. I totally get it.
No.
And I'm asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to dive into it. I saw the announcement. I saw the other announcement, the one with Meta, it LL Llama?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Llama 2.
Open source AI is what I guess some of this stuff will run in Azure as well as the open AI stuff, which is not open at all.
We have to do one IoT Coffee Talk, Llama, and
yeah.
So you can ask, hey, what Rob's thinks about this, no? Or what Leonard,
yeah,
or Rick.
It's always more interesting to hear what Rick thinks about things.
Yeah. Which, by the way, he promised to be on a while back, and he's broken that promise. So, oh well. He's leaving us on the dangle. So,
right.
What can you do? Yeah.
Well, I was talking with a friend some weeks ago about him, and my friend gave a really interesting point about Rick. And what he said is that he's doing a really good job putting in check a lot of people in the industry. And thanks to the work that he's doing, so a lot of companies are rethinking a lot of industrial IoT and IoT strategies and things because he's like super active on putting everyone in check.
He's a constructive
and making everyone to rethink what they do.
Yeah, he's a constructive troll. He comes off really rough, but if you listen
absolutely
with him, you realize the dude actually knows what he's talking about.
But yeah, but I don't know if someone has to do this, right? Someone has to.
Well, nobody has to do it, but it's really cool that he is. He's actually doing people a favor, the industry a favor, and he points out a lot of great stuff.
Right.
He really doesn't need to think about this stuff because he's kind of been there, done that, and so it's just kind of a fabric of who he is. But that's why I think it's like going back what we were talking about before. Why is everything ringing?
One question about sorry, let me go back like 10 minutes ago, if that makes sense to you, about the return of investment of IoT projects. And you were talking at some point about predictive maintenance, return of investment. It's not clear. I have a question here.
Yeah.
And I would like to get your feedback here. So, I mean, I think if you, as a company, if you invest enough money to get everything set up to have predictive maintenance from all your whatever you have, I'm sure that the return of investment can be pretty immediate if you have some predictive whatever, if it works well.
I think
the question is, we can discuss if I'm right or not. But my question is, okay, I have a return of investment of X%. What's the business model of this predictive thing? Because it predict once, no, you get this return of investment, but I'm not sure next time will get bigger return of investment. Next time I predict something, right? Or I'm not sure if predicting, I don't know. Maybe it maybe avoids like stopping a factory or something, predicting and making some. But I'm not sure. Yeah.
I think it makes sense when the house is already on fire. And when you look at the scenarios where people are actually investing in predictive maintenance or anything like that, is when the fear factor and the actual impact on the business is so high that it's easy for you to prove benefit through predictive maintenance or predictive capabilities that you can help the bottom line, right? Now, can you do that for an entire factory or everything? I think that has proven to be a lot more difficult because, we've been talking about predictive maintenance with analytics and doing all this, advanced, statistical as well as AI, anomaly detection and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? It's always been a hard sell. We still have people going around with the same, PowerPoint decks trying to convince customers, hey, look, this stuff is valuable. And it has gotten, I don't think it's really gotten that much easier to sell the solutions. The lucky ones are the ones who've found customers that have fires already going on, or, their country is already underwater. Do you know what I'm saying? That's when the cost of doing nothing is higher than the cost of bringing a balena in and red bison in to solve the problem. I mean, that's when they pull the trigger. It's just. I mean, it's weird how we started this conversation and it full circle. This is the nugget, right?
Sadly, the thing that gets most people's attention in IoT is if you can replace employees.
Yeah, we'll hear that.
As we've been trying to do the predictive, we talked about predictive maintenance for a long time, and it sometimes works.
Insurance, how do you
and so
value,
Yeah, and so it's an old story. We've been beating that drum for a long time.
Yeah.
But if you propose an IoT solution that literally takes the place of an employee, which kind of like when we worry about AI taking the place of all of us. Yeah. Sadly, when the option that gets people excited is when you say, "Oh yeah, think of IoT as your new employee, and it's monitored, it's doing this thing that the fully loaded cost, the salary, benefits, healthcare, blah 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 of an employee is this much, and this IoT thing is going to do all the same tasks that the employee does." Then they go, "Oh, okay, so I can get rid of some of my workforce and replace it with IoT," just like you hear them wanting to replace people with robots, right? It's the similar thing, right?
Yeah.
That gets them excited because they immediately think, "Oh, good, they want to run their business with as few employees as possible." And so it's a sad but true thing. It's, at least that's what I see, as opposed to all these other things that we've been talking about for years as being a good reason, uptime, eliminating unplanned downtime on machines and factories, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Go figure.
Yeah. And I think, and I think that's why Industry 4.0 and all these other concepts, these visions of where manufacturing and, what the future of manufacturing and supply chain, all those things will be, are so difficult to progress, right? It's like, where's the fire? Where's the burning planet? Is really, and it's true because and maybe that's also a statement of why we treat the climate situation the way we do. It's like we have too much brownfield stuff, no pun intended, We have brownfield or legacy energy sources that we rely on. We have our habits, our lifestyles, right? Our economies and the way that they're structured, our infrastructure. Saving the planet would entail changing more than, what we use for energy. It's a huge transformation of how we live,
Yeah.
And, think about it. You got like 1.6 billion folks in India who are looking to have an American lifestyle, and 1.x, like 3 billion Chinese, same thing.
What do you mean by American lifestyle?
They want
a specific city's lifestyle, you mean? Or
everybody wants the Barcelona lifestyle.
Yeah, they want to Barcelona life. Okay, they want to live in Barcelona.
It's the same thing. It's the Western, the whatever lifestyle.
I'm just kidding, but
no,
I don't know if it's Kentucky lifestyle or a San Diego lifestyle.
Kentucky. They want like 2 acres, a mule, or is it
a mule?
A tractor, a barn, a red barn, and a 6,000 square foot home.
Never been in Kentucky, so happy if anyone invite me there.
Huh?
Never been in Kentucky, but happy to be there.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to invite me.
They have horses.
Yeah, they do.
They have horses?
They have a horse race there.
Barbecue.
They have a horse race, the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah. But I think, for the sales folks, people who are trying to sell
bourbon.
Yeah, they just need bourbon and give it to
bourbon.
Sorry, Leonard.
Them up a little bit, and
they have some good college basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Oh, I can go there.
Take your customers
go play for Louisville or University of Kentucky. Go play basketball. That's the good basketball. So yeah, Kentucky is a good place. Yeah, good call, dude.
And that's how you sell IoT solutions. That was awesome. If you rewind back, that was like 2 jazz instrumentalists riffing off of each other, like they're just improvising. That was
so because of the controversial early comments that we made about global warming.
Yeah.
I started typing a post while we were talking about it for LinkedIn, and I know that I will be attacked today by people. I'll put it on Twitter where even more people will attack me. Where I talk about some places being uninhabitable for humans, and that I happen to live in a place that's a lifeboat region that's cooler and wetter.
Yeah.
And I fully expect people to migrate from hot places where they can't live anymore to cool places. And I think this will cause great conflict across nations.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The people are going to be accusing you of trying to raise the price of real estate in the
Washington and Seattle.
Yeah, in the Northwest.
It's a bit of racism what you do, or no?
What?
It's a racist of habitable regions. Racism of that.
What?
There will be accusations of racism whether it's true or not, when a certain region starts going, well, no, it's just for us.
Yeah.
You guys can't come here. You're not from here. This is our place. And inevitably, yes, they'll say, oh, you're racist or you're whatever.
Tiffany say that this is not for you. This place is not for you.
It's some kind
I'm just a messenger telling people. I looked out the window and I felt the air, and I noticed that some places are cooler than others, and people from hot places are going to move to cool places, and conflict will occur because of it. And that's, right now, most people migrate around the world from bad countries with, authoritarian leaders. It's all about geopolitics, or it's about famine. They have no food. And so you see people in boats coming across the ocean to another continent, another country to have a better life. And it's a never-ending stream of people doing that. And over time, we'll see similar things based on climate, based on heat. It just seems like common sense to me.
More on, it's not heat as well. It's the lack of water.
Yeah.
The lack of food because of the lack of water and so on.
Big problems. Yeah. Yeah. But
I'm
not sure how can we use the... Yeah.
Sorry, we totally screwed up this IoT discussion.
I don't know if we really did. Honestly,
climate.
If you kind of, shoveled through all the climate change talk, I mean, there's nuggets in here, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, IoT should be about solving problems, and selling it is like selling.
Let me show you my AirNode with blues. It's very hot, but the problem is that it's super polluted as well. So I usually don't have this moderate air quality.
Yeah.
So yesterday it was 72, and today is 60. Yeah. So it's super polluted.
Is that moderate? Is not.
Yeah, look at this.
Ew. Yeah.
Look at the air quality the last days that it's more hot.
Yeah. Right.
It's crazy.
Right. Pollution.
Yeah, look at this as well. The pollutants in the last days.
Yeah.
And higher.
Yeah. See, if it wasn't for IoT, you wouldn't know any of that stuff. Think about that.
It's measurement. IoT is measurement. It's remotely measuring using the magic of wireless.
Well, see, it's the early warning signs. So the scientists had this stuff. They had probes and they had monitors all over the place telling them, hey, wait a minute, something's funky is going on. So they did the first stage in IoT, which is provide visibility, right? And that allowed them, the scientists, to generate some awareness. But then they encountered denial, right? People saying, the science must be wrong. And that could be, like the IoT buyer who's listening to the IoT sales guy going, you know what? My factory is not burning,
But one of the games that I played with with my daughters on the Science Museum some weeks ago, it was a game for children. It was an exposition about the sun and the sun storms that lately are affecting our planet.
Right.
And the thing is that you, as a children, you were like a NASA manager or something, and you were in charge of moving the satellites to don't get affected by the sun storms. So like the whatever rays comes from the sun don't kill the satellites, and then we don't have GPS, etc. And it was like, so my daughters were like, yeah, we want to play more and more, but like, okay, but you understand what's going on here, so you have to move the satellites quick, because if not, we will not get internet, GPS, and all of things. So, and the background story about this video game was like, oh my God, so we are actually in fire.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a reason why astronauts have to limit how long they can do a spacewalk.
Yeah.
It's because of the radiation that's hitting them. You think, oh, but it's so cold out there and it's dark. Where's that? What are you talking about? And it's like, and that same radiation hits the Earth, but luckily we have the ozone layer and a bunch of stuff, and we have a magnetic field that protects us. The Earth is a lifeboat planet, actually. Other planets don't have magnetic fields to take care of all that problem.
Yeah.
So there you have it, folks.
Yeah.
We're pretty lucky, but we will find a way to screw it up.
Yeah.
Inevitably.
Because we are good at screwing stuff up.
We're talking about humanity. This is probably like the most depressing episode of IoT Coffee Talk. Rob woke up on the wrong side of the bed.
Sorry, my bad. I decided to talk about global warming and lifeboat regions and uninhabitable regions of the earth and mass migrations and how we don't take care of business, or we see problems coming, and we talk about it, but we don't really do anything about it until your house is on fire, and then we do something about it, but it's too late. Yeah, that's what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, you chose the dystopian future.
Yes, the dystopian one that's going to be true. Which
it's actually more of a reality than
it wasn't. It wasn't an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Oh my
well,
God.
Smart cities, right? Well, how come smart cities don't get off the ground? Everyone talks about the value proposition, but no, like what we're saying, it's like,
well, okay, that's a
funding thing.
That's a huge question, right? But the first thing that I'll say is let's stop putting everything into the box, right? Smart city, it's overused.
Yes.
And it's just a way to categorize everything. But as I've said a million times, every city is a snowflake. There is no cookie cutter thing that you're going to drop into a city and just go, it works just like that one. It's different. So if we adopt something that's maybe more realistic, connected communities, intelligent communities. I don't know, something else, because it's about the people much more than the tech.
But yeah, also there's a whole angle. So, when people talk about digital transformation, all this stuff, they usually talk about the outcome and the technology, but they don't really talk about the stuff in between, right? Which is, the prerequisite of all this stuff is you're modernizing something, whether it's the infrastructure, the applications, and the stuff that runs on top of that infrastructure. If you don't have that, then nothing above it, none of these fancy, slideware, presentations from academics and, industry, like sort of these business transformation evangelists matter, You can talk all that stuff all day long and pressure companies to invest and do all that stuff. But the first critical step is how do we modernize the foundation, right? And so, and it's all about capabilities. If you can't enable the new features and functions that are going to bring benefit to citizens and communities and all that stuff, it all becomes nonsense, right? And that's why I think that's that tough sell. And it is, like you said, Bill, every environment is different, which is why at the edge, when you're dealing with snowflakes, which is probably not the greatest, giving its connotations, probably not the greatest term to use.
Hey, snowflake.
It's all the situations are different. So these platform strategies don't work all that well, like what we've been talking about forever.
You can't, there's, again, you can give it a name. It's and to your point, I think a lot of instances, people, organizations, companies want to go in and first and foremost, they lead with tech. And that's, again, tech is the enabler. And yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff out there. But if you're not in there looking at what is economic development doing, what is public works doing, what are the residents and citizens saying that they want, because it's all about workability, livability, and sustainability. Those are the core tenets to delivering any of this. And I've said it a million times. When I start with a city, it's never the sexy stuff. It's always the foundational stuff. It's, what does your IT infrastructure look like? How's your security? How often do you audit? All of these things.
Yeah, the energy, the stuff that you always talk about. If you don't have power, you don't have anything, right?
Right. Yes.
How do you modernize that? How do you integrate it? How do you create that sort of minimum first phase of on the maturity curve, that stack, otherwise, not much happens, and there's so much brownfield you have to deal with, right?
Yeah.
That
Maybe MVC should stand for minimum viable city.
I would say that, yeah. I mean, you can look at, that, but minimal viable. Okay, so you're talking about urban and rural.
I thought it stood for minimum viable crap. The whole fling the dung against the wall technique. But
actually, in Barcelona, like 10 years ago, when smart city was a hype here, they start with a street. So maybe that was called minimum viable street.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Minimum viable cross, no?
Yeah.
Santander was where I first saw things.
Yeah. And you know how is Santander today?
It's vacant. It's nothing.
Is it Tombstone, Arizona?
All the signs are off. All the sensors are off, and
yeah. Well, there's a cost for intelligence.
There's a cost to it's piloting yourself to death and proof of concepting yourself to death. We have to get past that whole thing. What happens is companies go in, they do that whole showcase, and then they vacate.
But that was paid by European Union, by the way. So that was free.
Okay.
Nothing's free.
No, I was going to say somebody had to pay.
That was paid with taxes. But
yes. Yeah. There you go. You paid for it.
But on the other hand, I remember I had a conversation with the mayor of Santander, and someone asked this question, like, if all the sensors that you put demonstrate that the sun that you have in the city makes that people that is living in the city get skin cancer easily, and you discover that because of the data, of course, you're going to share that data, right, with your citizens? Yeah. And he was like, no, I'm not going to share that data.
I didn't learn how to share in kindergarten.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is data that it's important to share, other data that it's not relevant.
Yeah. Well, tribalism, right? People want to own the data.
Oh my God.
The data.
Well, they don't want to share it. People will discover that it's an uninhabitable place. This is not a lifeboat region. So they would leave to Rob's garden.
Yes. But everything, obviously, nothing lasts forever. This is why I started that Moab stuff so many years ago. As soon as I realized that IoT could be used to help this stuff instead of just business, after a while, the light bulb comes on and you can connect the dots, and it's like, oh, maybe we should probably do this. Yeah. Will it make a difference? I don't know.
Yeah, I think sometimes the problems are so big that even IoT is not a savior, right? What you were saying, Rob, the wine industry has known for years that there is something not right. They have known for a long time because microclimates are everything to a wine grower and a winemaker. It's everything, right? You hear about good years and bad years is because the microclimate was slightly different that year. Now, if the only solution is, man, this stuff is so wacky, these variations are so wacky, and I have absolutely no idea how to grow good wine in this region anymore. You just buying the southern tip of
We'll just keep moving north. Like when my wife and I started to go wine tasting in the Okanagan region of British Columbia, it's like, how could this be possible? How could they have Cabernet Sauvignon grapes this far north? Yeah. Well, in the past, they could not, but now they can.
Yeah.
I wonder how that happened. How does the wine industry keep chucking along in California as California gets so hot? Well, a lot of those wine regions are closer to the coast. And California, actually the whole West Coast, if you're within 5 miles or so of the coast, it's dramatically cooler and sometimes cold. But then you start going 5, 10, 15 miles inland and it's scorching hot, right?
Yeah.
Because the marine layer from the ocean, Pacific Ocean, is super cold,
Yeah.
I have to go.
All right. Go fight the fight, Marc.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go tell everybody, you're going to save the earth, man. Bill,
Let's make it happen.
The other thing is when we started talking about this whole climate thing, and it was also because I just had mentioned that when I post anything about warming or heat, I get attacked on LinkedIn and Twitter by lots of people. Like a lot of people attack me and say I'm an idiot and lots of bad stuff, saying that's not real. And so,
wait a minute, you're suggesting that global warming is real? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes, I know. I probably crossed the line there, didn't I?
Climate.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Hey, climate is weather.
I just made some observations. It's all my friends in Texas are burning alive right now. So yeah. I grew up in Texas and it was hot, but it wasn't that hot.
Yeah.
No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you're there, right, Bill?
Yes, it is. It is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I walk outside and I'm like, oh, hell no. And I go right back in.
I'm going to get underneath my big ass fans.
That's it. I mean,
yeah. If there's an industry you should invest in, it's the generator industry, because of a lot of friends, it's if we lose power in the Pacific Northwest and you don't have lights, it's still kind of okay. If you lose power in Texas or Phoenix, you are burning alive in your house. You are burning, and so it sucks. And so I have more and more friends I know who've bought generators to
pollute more the space, no?
That contribute. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
But in exchange for that temporary comfort and convenience, right? Which goes back to our early conversation, right? It's like, what have you done for me lately? How do I feel right now? Climate change will probably happen after I'm dead. And I want to be comfortable. So, yeah. So it's interesting. Alternative sources of power to make sure your air conditioning keeps going. Or I have people whose air conditioning goes out, it dies during the summer in Texas, and they're like going.
It's a short-term gain for a long-term pain.
Yes, that's it. You nailed it. You nailed it right there.
Well, I mean, if you're really looking at it, right? I agree wholeheartedly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The generator piece of it is important, but so someone like myself goes solar and storage. So I'm bi-directional on all fronts.
Yeah.
And everything was designed such that if I have an outage, not just my critical infrastructure, my entire house will run for the next week.
Is that all solar, or do you have a diesel, or like a natural gas or whatever generator as well?
No natural gas generator. I have storage.
Okay. All right. So you got a bunch of batteries.
He's modern.
I got two big giant batteries.
Yeah, big ones.
Two big giant boxes with a bunch of batteries inside.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's doing it right.
Cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Did you buy those from Elon?
No, I'm not going Powerwall, man.
Okay. I'm curious how well I don't know how well Powerwall is doing in sales, or if a lot of people are buying that stuff.
My neighbors 2 doors down have 4 of them in their garage.
Okay.
And that's I looked at it and I was like, nah, I like a lot of Elon stuff, but when it comes to that, folks like Generac and others are better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you would know, I don't, but
Generac's a really well-known generator company, and their primary business is, gasoline or diesel-powered generators. I didn't know they were making batteries as well. That's cool.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Because a lot of people will have that generators connected in with their natural gas line coming into their house, and so
yeah. I mean, well, you've been out to the house, so it's a lot of space to cool off and whatnot.
That's fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, hell, I just had a flipping $500 water bill.
What?
Wow.
Wait, whoa, wait, we're actually going to charge people for water?
What?
I mean, come on, man. I'm like, and then I went out there and I looked because I was like, $500. And I'm like, I'm looking at the math on, how much per gallon. And then I saw that they were charging me a premium because of how much I was watering. But you see how much grass I have in the back?
Yeah.
Time to get AstroTurf.
I'm serious. I thought about it. I'm like, there's so much cost built in to, trying to do anything. So landscaping is going to be
a killer.
Yeah. It's going to be a nightmare.
And for all you people in California looking to move to Texas, thinking you're going to get the hookup because everything's so cheap, there'll be hidden costs that you don't.
They're not hidden. They're not hidden. Let's lift up the hood on that one.
Yeah. You do basic research, you'll realize, ooh, this place is not that cheap.
Yeah, you'll go, oh, the house only costs this much compared to it costing this much in Palo Alto. What a deal. But then there's all these extra, the taxes, property taxes, mud taxes, all kinds of things.
Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, property tax. How about that?
Yeah. Bill, you look like you want to come back to California now.
Well, I mean, I'm still good in California, so I'm still good. I mean, that was one of the things, the realtor was like, well, if you sell your house, I'm like, who said I'm selling?
Good for you, man.
Got it.
That's why I tell a lot of folks is like, look, just rent your place.
Rent it out.
Whatever you make in profit, you'll be able to use to pay for your house anywhere else. But if you sell, you won't be able to come back.
Pretty much. You're like I'm out.
You're right.
Lots.
You will not be able to return. That's a good point. Good smart move on your part, dude.
Yeah, good for you, Bill. Yeah,
but I tell you, I joined late and everything. I mean, I got to head down to Austin, but that post about our good friends using Active Directory, boy, you lit me up with that one.
Who me?
You.
Oh. Oh yeah.
What was the post about? Active Directory.
It was about the Microsoft email hack.
Yeah.
Through a software vulnerability, and it just happened to be for the DoD, I think, right? It was yeah. So had some folks chime in, and it was pretty interesting. It's like the government is like about 10 years behind on what best practices are in IT, and one of them is number one, whoever came up with the first Jedi proposal was like, they should have done their homework, because we were way past single sourcing cloud services. And then you go multi-cloud, okay, maybe a little bit better, but don't put everything up in the cloud, because we're in the era of hybrid cloud and people trying to keep things on premises, and so now, while the government and the DoD and all those guys are going up to the cloud, everyone is going the other way. And so we'll probably see a shift in thinking over the next 10 years.
Leonard, there was some irony there.
But
as far behind as the government is, it was the government that detected the security problem and the hack, was not Microsoft. They had to tell Microsoft that Azure was hosed.
Really?
And I mean, but that happens quite a bit. I mean, Log4j wasn't discovered by the cloud providers. Oh, and by the way, Log4j was not an anomaly either.
Right.
People are like, oh, well, that's a once. No, it's not. It is a warning, people.
That's right.
It's a warning.
Yeah.
If you actively did a CVE scan on your systems, you would find a number of them that are just there. We never patched them. We never did anything about them, but they don't consider them a threat. They're dormant, and then they're exposed later, and people are like shocked.
You know what? The funny thing is, we had an episode about this on open source software, right? And somebody noted, wow, only if the Log4j guys watched this episode, because we had been talking about it a couple of months before that thing happened. Talk about freaky coincidences on IoT Coffee Talk, man. I mean, I'm sorry. You just have to watch and then look at the timeline, and we're just like on hit everywhere. It's like scary. It's kind of scary. That's why I love listening back on stuff, because I go, oh my God, we did that. We talked about that. And it's just like, oh, wow. But it's true.
Very prophetic.
Well, we just don't assume that, these don't take a techno-religious stance on anything. Be practical, and then don't subscribe to all the hype, and then you're going to be much better off. I mean, it's really what it boils down to, right?
I mean, think about it. We
trustworthy, no matter how much you love the brand.
We were talking about S-bombs like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And the importance of them and how they could be used and what they should be doing. And
can you tell our audience what that acronym stands for?
Software Bill of Materials, folks.
Yeah.
Isn't that something we've done forever?
You know what? The thing about it is that there's never been an audit against them, right?
Okay.
And that's what you need. You need a hub or something that holds. It's just like configuration management, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you want to take it to the next level. That's why, starting with any entity that I work with, we have to get the foundation right. Because if you're talking about deploying anything on the OT side of the world and your foundation is not right, all you did was increase your attack surface.
Yeah. Well, the White House introduced that new measure. What is it? A trusted smart device thing, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get his name right. Who sent it to us? He's going to kill me for not getting
government seal of approval with a QR code.
Yeah.
It's trusted.
Lucas Malinowski. We're going to give you props here. Yeah, I mean, we probably need more than S-bomb. You do. You do need more than that. You need some diligence. You need some CVE monitoring. You need these other things for look, cities, utilities, municipalities, educators, all of that. There are solutions out there that you are depending on that will not do what you need them to do. You will be exposed. Yeah. And I mean, if you don't understand CVE management and CVE monitoring and how to patch and what to patch and those types of things, you need to talk to someone and figure that out, because I'm not even going to give those solutions any name cred, but we all know who they are, and you're not protected. I've still seen cities get hacked. And they go to these services that are supposed to be monitoring their infrastructure and monitoring their environments and everything, and all they can tell them is an IP address that attacked them. Yeah.
I don't want forensic information. I want prevention.
Prevention, yeah. Well, that's tough.
I want prevention.
I don't want ransomware.
Oh my God, this is like the longest.
Hey, even after I did that post on LinkedIn, my usual one about salespeople contacting me and all that kind of shit, there's like 5 or 6 more people today. Hey, yeah, I know our paths cross somewhere. I noticed we're in the same whatever industry. If we could get on a call. I mean, it just never stops. I post stuff out there and they see it and they still.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know what you should do? And I'll leave it at this. You should tell them, get on their calendar and then never show up.
Exactly. I love what Stephanie said. We've talked about this before too. the sales person comes to pitch you, let's get a call. And then they say, use my Calendly link to schedule a meeting with me. And they're the one who's pitching you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not taking the effort to go to your Calendly link to set a meeting for you to, spam me with whatever bullshit thing you want me to buy. Well, it's like,
yeah,
you're the one who's supposed to be bending over backwards to hopefully get me to listen to you for 15 minutes.
I'm teaching this stuff.
Calendly is the opposite of what a salesperson should be doing.
Yeah, it's like net piss off people score will go up, folks.
That's what it is.
I'm telling you, man, for any of those folks, anyone that's listening that's trying to sell me anything, I only got 2 things for you: hard times and wooden nickels. And I'm fresh out of wooden nickels.
I thought you were going to say I got a trash can for you. Jump in.
I'm just saying, I those are the only 2 things I have for you. I have nothing else.
Okay.
Maybe you should go to these people's Calendly and fill up their entire calendar on Calendly.
That was awesome. That's too funny. Actually, yeah, spam their Calendly or whatever.
You ask for it.
Yeah, ask for it. It's like, I'm not going to jump on, but hey, I booked your entire. So you can't do this to anyone else because your calendar is booked.
Exactly.
I'll be free one of those days.
Yeah. Maybe.
All right. Who wants to take us out? Rob, you got to do it. Now that you're like refreshed and ready to close out this episode.
Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks for waking me up this morning. It truly is coffee talk, right? I started off in a daze, and then we got super controversial, talked about lots of stuff that have nothing to do with IoT, but might be important. Hopefully you take our advice on filling up sales guys' calendars. I think that's important. And then if you want to learn more about us and what we talk about, go to iotcoffeetalk.com, which will redirect you to YouTube, where you can see videos of our not so beautiful faces every morning. Or you can listen to us on wherever you get podcasts. So much love, and we'll see you on the other side.